Ferrari is about to bring something so extreme, it could turn their entire season around in a single race. Because after being exposed in Australia and China, Ferrari did not just prepare an upgrade. They prepared a transformation. A package so aggressive, insiders are already calling it the beginning of a B-Spec car. And here is why this matters. Ferrari is already as fast as Mercedes in the corners. In China, they were matching them in the most technical part of the track. So the only thing holding them back is efficiency. And now, just days before the Japanese Grand Prix, they believe they have found the solution. A new rear wing concept, a complete energy recalibration, multiple hidden changes working together. Which means one thing: if this works, Ferrari does not just get closer, they become a completely different car overnight. So the real question is not if Ferrari is bringing upgrades. The real question is, are we about to see the moment Ferrari finally turns into a title contender? Subscribe now, because what happens in Japan could change everything. At first, Ferrari's plan did not look aggressive. It looked controlled, because after Australia, they did not panic. After China, they did not overreact. They studied. They analyzed. They broke the car down into pieces. And what they found changed the direction completely. Because the SF26 is not a slow car. It is an incomplete one. Strong in the corners. Unstable in energy. Fast at the start of the straight, but vulnerable at the end. And that is exactly why Ferrari did not go for one big upgrade. They went for something much more dangerous. Integration. Because when you look at the data from the first two races, one pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Ferrari is competitive in the most difficult parts of the track. The technical sections, the high-load corners, the areas where aerodynamic balance matters the most. But then, everything disappears on the straights, especially in the final phase, where energy deployment defines everything. And that is where Ferrari made their decision. Do not chase more downforce. Do not chase more raw power. Fix the connection between them. Because in 2026, that connection is the car. And this is where the so-called B-Spec idea starts to make sense. Because Ferrari is not changing one component. They are changing how the entire system works together. Aerodynamics, energy, balance, all recalibrated. And the first visible piece of that change is the rear wing. The flip wing. Tested in China. Not used. Because it was not ready. Because it needed something more. It needed the rest of the car to match it. And now that moment has arrived. Because the rear wing is designed to do something very specific. Reduce drag when it matters. Maintain load when it is needed. And that sounds simple until you realize what it actually requires. Perfect timing. Perfect balance with the front wing. Perfect integration with energy deployment. Because if one part is wrong, the entire concept fails. And that is why Ferrari waited. But now, just days before Suzuka, everything is coming together. Because this is not just about speed. It is about efficiency. And efficiency is exactly where Ferrari has been losing everything so far. So if this system works, if the rear wing reduces drag at the right moment, if the energy lasts longer down the straight, if the car remains stable through the corners, then something very important happens. Ferrari stops being predictable. They stop being the car that is strong in one phase and weak in another. They become complete. And that is the moment where the gap to Mercedes does not just shrink. It disappears. But here is the part that makes this even more intense. Because Ferrari is not bringing this slowly. They are bringing it all at once. Which means there is no gradual learning. No safe adjustment. It either works immediately, or it creates new problems. And in a track like Suzuka, those problems do not stay hidden. They get exposed instantly. And this is where the risk becomes real. Because what Ferrari is doing right now is not a normal upgrade path. It is a reset in the middle of the season. And that is one of the most dangerous things you can do in Formula One. Because when you change how everything works together, you do not just fix weaknesses, you expose new ones. And Suzuka is the worst possible place for that. Because this is a circuit that punishes imbalance instantly. High-speed direction changes. Continuous load through the corners. No time to recover. No margin for error. If the rear wing does not interact perfectly with the front, the car becomes unstable. If the energy deployment is not perfectly synchronized, the performance disappears. And if both happen at the same time, the lap completely collapses. But here is why Ferrari is willing to take that risk. Because doing nothing is worse. Because right now, they already know the outcome. Strong in sectors 1 and 2. Losing everything in sector 3. Every race. Every lap. Predictable. And predictable in Formula One means beatable. So Ferrari has chosen something else. Uncertainty. Because uncertainty creates opportunity. Because if this works, the entire structure of the race changes. Ferrari no longer arrives at the end of the straight as the weaker car. They arrive equal, or even stronger. And that changes everything. Because now overtaking becomes real. Now defending becomes possible. Now strategy becomes flexible. And suddenly, Mercedes is no longer controlling the race. They are reacting to it. But here is the final layer. Because this is not just about one race. This is about direction. Because if this B-Spec concept works in Suzuka, then it becomes the foundation. Everything builds from it. Development accelerates. Confidence grows. And Ferrari stops chasing and starts leading their own path. But if it fails, if the integration is not clean, if the balance is not there, then Ferrari faces a very different reality. Because they will not just lose performance. They will lose time. Time to understand. Time to correct. Time to rebuild confidence. And in a season that is just beginning, that can define everything. So when the cars hit the track in Japan, when Ferrari rolls out this new version of the SF26, when the first real laps begin, we are not just watching an upgrade. We are watching a decision. A decision that could take Ferrari back into the fight, or push them further away than ever before. And the real question is no longer what Ferrari is bringing. The real question is, did they just build the car that can challenge Mercedes? Or did they just take the biggest risk of their entire season? And this is where everything finally gets decided. Because up until now, Ferrari has been chasing a problem. Now, they are about to reveal a solution. But Formula One does not care about intentions. It only reveals what actually works. And Suzuka is where everything becomes visible instantly. Because this is not just a fast track. It is a complete test. Aerodynamics, energy, balance, driver confidence. Everything is pushed at the same time. And that is exactly why this moment is so important. Because for the first time this season, Ferrari is not bringing an upgrade to improve. They are bringing a package to transform. A different way of generating performance. A different way of managing energy. A different way of fighting on track. And that is what makes this feel like a B-Spec car, even if nobody officially calls it that. But here is where the tension reaches its peak. Because there are only two outcomes now. If Ferrari arrives in Suzuka, and the car behaves exactly as they expect, stable through the high-speed corners, efficient on the straights, consistent across the entire lap, then everything changes immediately. They do not just close the gap, they remove the weakness that defined their season. And once that weakness is gone, their strengths take over. Corner speed, precision, aggressive race starts. And suddenly, they are no longer reacting to Mercedes. They are fighting them, lap by lap, corner by corner. And that is the moment where the championship truly begins. But if the opposite happens, if the car is unstable, if the energy still drops too early, if the balance is not perfect between aero and deployment, then the consequences are even bigger. Because Ferrari will not just miss an opportunity, they will confirm a limitation. Because when you change this much and it still does not work, it means the problem is deeper than expected. And that is what makes this so critical. Because this is not just about performance, it is about direction. Because if this concept works, everything Ferrari does next will be built on it. Every upgrade, every adjustment, every development path. But if it does not, they have to rethink everything again. And in a season that is moving this fast, that can cost more than just one race. So now, everything leads to one moment, one lap, one real comparison under pressure. Because when the lights go out in Japan, when Ferrari lines up with this new version of the SF26, when the first full push lap begins, there will be no more theories left, no more expectations, no more hidden variables, only performance, pure, clear, undeniable. And in that moment, we will finally see it. Whether Ferrari has just created the car that can challenge Mercedes, or whether this so-called B-Spec evolution was never enough to change the reality of 2026. And this is where the story reaches its final truth. Because everything Ferrari has done, every risk, every change, every hidden adjustment, leads to one unavoidable moment: exposure. Because once the car hits the track in Suzuka, there is nowhere left to hide. No simulations, no theory, no assumptions, only reality. And reality in Formula One is simple. You either have the performance or you do not. But here is what makes this moment different. Because Ferrari is not just testing an upgrade. They are testing a philosophy, a completely different way of extracting performance from this new era. Because 2026 is not about who has more power. It is about who understands energy better, who controls it longer, who uses it at the exact right moment. And Ferrari believes they have finally found that answer. But belief means nothing until it works under pressure. Because Suzuka does not forgive. Every corner demands commitment. Every straight demands efficiency. Every lap demands perfection. And that is where the final answer appears. Because if Ferrari comes out, and the car finally holds energy until the end of the straight, if the rear wing delivers efficiency without killing stability, if the balance remains intact through the high-speed sections, then something very important happens. Ferrari becomes complete. No more clear weakness. No more predictable loss. No more waiting for the gap to grow. And that is the moment where Mercedes loses control. Because until now, they have been managing races, managing gaps, managing the pace. But if Ferrari removes that weakness, that control disappears. And when control disappears, pressure begins. Real pressure. The kind that forces mistakes, forces risk, forces drivers and teams out of their comfort zone. But if Ferrari fails, if even one part of the system does not work, if the energy still fades, if the balance is not stable, then the conclusion is just as clear. Because it means that even after pushing everything forward, even after attempting a B-Spec level change, they are still not there, still missing something deeper. And that is the brutal reality of Formula One. Because sometimes the problem is not what you think it is. So as the cars line up in Japan, as Ferrari rolls out what might be the most important version of their car this season, as everything they have built gets tested in real conditions, there is no more waiting, no more speculation, no more second chances, only one answer left. Because the real question is no longer what Ferrari has changed. The real question is, are we about to witness the moment Ferrari finally becomes a true challenger? Or the moment they realize Mercedes was never within reach to begin with?